Hello everyone, my name is Marian Guerra. A huge hello and a huge thank you to anyone who's just clicking on this video or checking out the channel. Whether you are a new or an old subscriber, thank you very much for watching. Your viewership is always appreciated. So today, from the title, you can see that I'll be filming a video that I've been meaning to do for quite a bit, ever since I actually finished the series, and that is my personal ranking of the Discworld City Watch books. For the past 2 years, I've been discovering some new favorite series of mine. 2023 was the year of the Books of Babel. 2024 was the year of the Gormenghast trilogy. And for 2025, I can confidently say that it's been the year of the City Watch. City Watch being a sub-series within the larger Discworld series written by Terry Pratchett. So there are over 41 books within Discworld, so that's quite a lot, and it's quite intimidating to decide where you're going to start. But Alan from the Library of Alexandria recommends that you start off with City Watch, Guards being the first book. Now, coincidentally, there was someone on my Instagram who recommended that I also read Guards. Now, this was part of a challenge I started doing, where I had some followers recommend me books to read within 2025. I believe it was either 9 or 12. I don't even remember how many books it was supposed to be. Safe to say that I failed that challenge. I'm not even halfway through. I'm such a mood reader that I couldn't do it. I'll probably have to, move all those books to 2026, so I've got a larger TBR. But yeah, anyway, I won't lie, Guards kind of wrecked the momentum of my challenge, because after reading Guards, I just continuously and steadily just kept on reading the next book in the City Watch series, and then the next book in the City Watch series, up to a point where I just finished all 8 books within a span of 4 or 5 months, something like that. So yeah, I have read all 8 City Watch books, and now I'm here to rank them. Now, some caveats before I go on to the list. Obviously, this is a personal, a subjective ranking video. You may or may not agree with the placings of certain books or my rationale behind those placings. That's completely fine. Another thing is that this video is going to be for those who have read the entire City Watch series, because I will be talking spoilers. I'll be making references to scenes within each of these books. So yeah, if you haven't finished the entire City Watch series, maybe click away and check out Guards if you haven't, or maybe finish up the City Watch if you haven't already. So yeah, another thing of note is that I'm not going to be going in depth with the plot of each book. I'm not going to be doing a review for each one. Okay, I'm just going to be explaining my rationale as to why this book is at this placing for me personally. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. At number 8, we have Jingo. So this is the 4th book in the series. After Guards, I kind of was just popping off on a roll, getting through Men-at-Arms, Fate of Clay. But when I got to Jingo, I found myself in a lull. More often than not, I was putting this book down, leaving it, coming back to it, putting it down, leaving it, coming back to it. I just found myself not voraciously reading this one compared to the previous books. And I think that's due to several reasons. I just wasn't as invested in the mystery at the core of this book. So for the majority of the City Watch books, they will follow a police procedural format. So they're going to involve a mystery, for instance, like Fate of Clay. Who's poisoning the patrician? How are they doing it? In The Fifth Elephant, who stole the Stone-of-Scone? Here, we're trying to figure out who is behind the attempted assassination of the Clatchian prince. And I just wasn't all that interested. Clatch in general, I just wasn't all that interested in. As a setting, it wasn't memorable. Neither were any of the new characters. I think there was one, 71 Hour Ahmed, that was his name. But like I said, they didn't really stick around in my mind a whole lot. Nabi and Colin also take more of a center stage in this book, and don't get me wrong, I find them hilarious, but I kind of prefer them as side characters, and then the focus be more on Vimes or maybe Carrot, Angua. But yeah, by all means, this isn't a bad book. Very poignant with what it has to say about war and the men at the top who, through overzealous patriotism, drag innocents into the horrors of war. So yeah, Jingo, not bad by any means, just my least favorite out of the 8. At number 7, we have Snuff. So this is the last book in the City Watch series. And this one is a lot more Vimes focused, Vimes centered, although we do see a bit of the crew back in Ankh-Morpork. This one I consider to be one of, if not the most or the darkest book in the series, just in the way that Pratchett explores the way the goblins are treated, pretty unnerving. This one is also a bit action-packed. I really liked the scene in the riverboat. On the riverboat, it's my favorite one in the entire book. I just like how intense it got, and I really like how the Summoning Dark plotline followed from Thud into Snuff as well. I enjoyed seeing more of Vimes being a dad to young Sam. So yeah, overall, I would say still an enjoyable City Watch book. You know, it's a Pratchett book. However, there was just 6 more that I enjoyed more than Snuff. So yeah, that's number 7. Moving on to number 6, we have The Fifth Elephant. It kind of feels wrong putting this book at number 6, considering how much I enjoyed reading it. But, you know, when it comes to this ranking, it really is about just choosing one book you enjoyed over this other book that you enjoyed. So yeah, while I didn't really care for the setting of Klatch in Jingo, it's the opposite case with The Fifth Elephant. I really enjoyed my time in Uberwald, meeting Angua's family, learning more about her history, seeing the dwarves and the vampires, getting a sense of the political tensions within the area. This was also very action-packed, which I like. I mean, I enjoyed seeing Vimes basically just fight tooth and nail to survive through the landscape, the hostile landscape of Uberwald. I also enjoyed seeing more of Carrot and Angua, their perspective, seeing more of their relationship. Love that. I also really liked following the mystery, you know, the whole Stone-of-Scone, how that links to Uberwald and Ankh-Morpork. I think Pratchett did a good job of balancing the mystery side along with the action, and I was invested in both equally. So yeah, this was just highly entertaining, highly enjoyable. Yeah, adore The Fifth Elephant. Now, number 5 may be controversial, and honestly, this and number 4 can be switched intermittently, depending on the day, depending on my mood. But that is Guards. Now, I adore Guards. It will always have a special place in my heart. When I was going through the series, I loved looking back on this one. Just seeing how far the City Watch has come. Just seeing how in Guards we start off with these 3 schmucks that no one in Ankh-Morpork took seriously. They themselves didn't take themselves seriously. However, all it took was the arrival of one man, one dwarf, to kind of come in and shake things up and sort of like reinvigorate the spirit of the City Watch. And yeah, I just love being introduced to these characters. I think Guards does a fantastic job introducing you to these 4 main characters of Vimes, Carrot, Nobby, Colin. I think it does a good job of setting up the tone of what you're going to expect with the rest of the books. I also really enjoyed Vimes' relationship with Sybil in this one. Just great, full of laughs. I guess the reason why it's a bit lower on the list is that in terms of the plot itself, you know, the mystery behind it, like who is summoning the dragon? Where is the dragon coming from? There's just more interesting plots, I guess, in the other books and the subsequent installments that I was just more interested in. But you gotta love Guards for the characters, for the introduction of these characters. So yeah. At number 4, we have Thud. So a couple of things that I really enjoyed about this book. One of them is the Summoning Dark plotline. I really liked how it leaned into the creepy, the horror, the esoteric. I enjoyed the scenes where like Vimes is leaving and then the Summoning Dark symbol will coincidentally appear, I don't know, to hint at, you know, Vimes being the one who is possessed. And then I was really invested in the mystery. I think that it's deceptively simple, the way that it's initially presented to you. You have this, you know, dwarf who was politically active and he was very controversial and he's killed. However, you realize that the mystery runs deeper than you originally thought, mainly because you have the deep down dwarves who are so secretive and mysterious kind of being involved. So I did like, you know, seeing the layers being peeled. But what really made Thud stand out to me and what made it rise up the ranks was the depiction of fatherhood. I really loved seeing Sam Vimes as a new father. I love seeing this man who is like, I don't care what you're asking of me, what time of day it is. I am going home and I am going to read my son this story, and nothing you can do will stop me. And one of my favorite scenes, and this is like one of the scenes that will stick with me from this entire series, is the one where Vimes' house is being broken into by the Deep Down Dwarves, and he's rushing into the house to get his son, and he sees one of the dwarves at the top of the stairs, and he rushes into young Sam's room. And Vimes is like running up the stairs going, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. And he gets into his son's room and sees that he's sleeping and that he's okay. And he basically drops down on his knees and then starts crying. And I remember reading that and going, whoa, 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 like stop there. Because honestly, when you compare Vimes then and then like Guards, he's changed. But honestly, he's still the same. He's still, very much a cynic, a hard ass. But at that moment, like I've never seen him so vulnerable. Not even in Night Watch, the previous book. I've never seen him this vulnerable. And so it just really stuck out to me. The fact that he just collapsed out of like fear and relief, like simultaneously. So yeah, that scene just stuck with me. Like I really felt the emotion in that particular scene. So yeah, that's what really made Thud kind of rise up the rankings. At number 3, we have, coincidentally, book number 3, and that is The Feet of Clay. Now, I really enjoyed this for the whole Golem subplot, and basically how Pratchett explored free will through the golems. How these are creatures that are physically unable to exercise free will. But despite all of that, the burning desire for it is still inside of them. They could be perceived as, just stupid things that are meant, to just carry out whims. But inside there is a will, there is a voice that, no one can take away from them. So I really enjoyed, reading about that. I also liked the addition of Cheery Littlebottom to the City Watch. After, Men-at-Arms, we lost Cuddy, so I was kind of distraught. But Cheery was an excellent addition. And I love following her scenes in the subsequent installments. I was also very much invested in the whole mystery. I mentioned earlier in this video that the patrician is being poisoned. And we don't know by who and how are they doing it. And Vimes is basically, he's tasked with finding out, how is the patrician being poisoned? How are they accessing him? And I just find it amusing how he's basically trying to Sherlock Holmes this, and he's basically driving himself into a state of mania. The man is busting his brain trying to figure this out. And then towards the end, the patrician was like, oh yeah, I knew. But Vimes needed to do this. He needed to basically drive himself to near insanity to solve this case. So yeah, that was that one I found amusing. I was on a high when I went through Feet of Clay. I was just so into City Watch. So yeah, this one was just good times all around. Now, number 2, controversial maybe, 2 and 1, similar to 5 and 4, can be switched. So we have Night Watch. So this is the 6th book in the series, and I've heard that this is regarded by many as the best book in the entire City Watch. I have heard people say that it is the best book in the entire Discworld. And yeah, I can see why. I can definitely see why. But I can also see why that some people may not have this as a favorite. This is a Vimes-centered book through and through. Very much so. Not a problem with me, because I love Vimes. Him and Carrot are my favorite characters. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed Night Watch. This one has a time travel plot. It's funny because beforehand, I thought, like, I'm not really into time travel. But then I read Night Watch and A Tangle of Time by Josiah Bancroft, and they both have timey-wimey shenanigans, and I ended up really enjoying it. So, honestly, I don't know where I got the idea from, where I do not like, time travel type of plots. But anyway, Night Watch was excellent. Very moving, very touching. I love the image of an older grizzled Vimes mentoring a younger self. And he's just so like, oh my god, this is what I was like? I cannot believe it. But I also really like it for, once again, it allows Vimes to be put into a vulnerable state. You get a really good sense of the weight that is on Vimes' shoulders. In the beginning of the book, he's chasing down this killer, and then he's unwillingly thrust into the past and tasked with not only impersonating his former mentor, but ensuring that the events of this one day follow through, which happens to be the day of a disastrous street rebellion where many good men died. And so he's met with this ethical, moral dilemma. And what I really enjoyed about this book is that we get down to the root of who Sam Vimes is, and it kind of boils down to this one decision that he makes. So basically, on this day of the street rebellion, this event will occur, and it's going to lead to these men dying. And he can prevent that. However, ideally, he should let things play out as they should. Because if he doesn't, it could potentially affect his future, the future where he is the commander of the City Watch, he's married to Sybil, and he's going to be a father. But for Vimes, it's just not right. It's not in his nature to stand there and then let these men die knowing that he can do something, that he could help them, that he could save them. So he makes the decision where, yes, I know I'm jeopardizing my future, but I'm going to save these men. I am not going to let them die. Because that's not who Sam Vimes is. Like, he's there in that moment. There are people who need help, and so he's going to help them. And that's what I love about Night Watch. It really just gets down to the heart of one of my favorite characters within the City Watch. So I understand why this is a lot of people's favorites, why it's number one for a lot of people. Honestly, this could be just number one tomorrow, next year, who knows? But yeah, definitely a highlight within my journey through the City Watch. Lastly, for book number one, we have Men-at-Arms. So there are several reasons why I love this book. For one thing, we have introduction to characters like Angua and Detritus, who become some of my favorites. I also just really liked all the subplots that were going on in book two. I really liked Cuddy and Detritus's relationship. This is where Pratchett introduces the whole antagonistic relationship between like certain species that ends up continuing on in the subsequent books. So we see Detritus and Cuddy starting off as, antagonists to one another, and then we see the relationship develop into a begrudging friendship, and then it's capped off with Cuddy's death. And honestly, Cuddy's death is still one of the most shocking things in this series, because I genuinely did not see it coming. Like, I thought, oh, he's fine, right? And then death showed up, and I'm like, wait a second, Cuddy's dead? I thought he was going to be like a major part of this series, but apparently not. I was very shocked. And just seeing Detritus's genuine sorrow at losing his dwarf friend, like, it was moving. I also really enjoyed seeing kind of Carrot kind of assume the sort of leadership qualities, and how it kind of butted heads with Vimes' dilemma. Because at this point, Vimes, because he's getting married, he thinks that, he's going to retire from the watch and then settle down. And he's struggling with that. He's sort of like dealing with his own mortality and trying to understand, like, who is he exactly without the watch? And he just reaffirms the fact that, deep down, he is a copper through and through. Also, what makes Men-at-Arms special is that it was at this point for me where I felt like this is probably going to be a favorite series of mine. I really enjoyed Guards. I mean, I continued on with Men-at-Arms, but it was here where I saw glimmers of, certainty that this was going to be a new favorite series, and it turned out I was right. So yeah, Men-at-Arms has a special place in my heart in the City Watch. So yeah. So that was the ranking of all the City Watch books. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know down in the comments if you disagree, agree with my opinions on these rankings. Obviously, people are going to disagree. But yeah, please let me know. It was sad reading Snuff and finishing my time with these goobers. But I do look forward to rereading the series, and I look forward to continuing on with Discworld. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!